It all started with 56 incredible fighting machines battling it out to prove who's the best. And now, after 16 episodes and 115 fights, only 8 bots remain. Inverse. SawBlaze. Pump Up. Bronco. Very Violent. Whiplash. Gridlock. And Bite Force. These 8 machines are the most powerful, most ingenious, and most dangerous bots we've ever seen, and that is why they've made it this far. But now they must face the ultimate test. They must win 3 fights in a row if they want to claim the giant disc and title of BattleBots At Home 2022 champion and possibly the best robot in fan-made robot combat history. Who will do the impossible? Who will claim the giant disc? And who will become known as a champion? There's only one way to find out in the epic conclusion of BattleBots At Home 2022. Welcome to the season finale of BattleBots At Home in 2022. It's the moment we've all been waiting for. As of the 8 bots we have left, it's time to crown a champion. We have 8 of the most insane, most brutal, most incredible fights lined up to end the show off. And at the end of the night, one bot will claim this, the ultimate prize, the giant disc. As you can see here, we only have 8 bots left, and each bot will have to win 3 fights in a row if they want to win the championship. Our first fight of the championship will be between the 18-seeded Pump Up and the 10th-seeded SawBlaze. SawBlaze has just been on a path of destruction throughout this entire tournament. They've used that dangerous hammer saw to defeat the likes of Barnacles and Emergency, and this weapon is very destructive. It's very dangerous. It hits opponents in ways they can't anticipate, and this bot could go all the way. However, standing in their way is Pump Up. Now, despite not looking so visually threatening, this bot has gotten some major upsets in the tournament so far. In the round of 32, they got Grappler out of the arena, and then in the round of 16, they managed to defeat the number 2 seed Mr. Slice in one of the greatest fights we've ever seen on the show. But enough talking. It's time to see which one of these 2 incredible machines will get the first spot in the semifinals. Let's head down to the box. Three, 2, 1. Let the bot battle begin. The fight for the first spot in the semifinals begins. Right now, Pump Up pushing SawBlaze into the wall. SawBlaze, bringing down that hammer saw, just barely missing. SawBlaze, very powerful drive system, wants to push Pump Up around as much as they can. Just like that, here comes the hammer saw. That weapon is really dangerous. Pump Up needs to be careful as they get in between the forks of SawBlaze. Oh, what an amazing lift! And they flipped them over. And right now, SawBlaze in a lot of trouble. I don't know if they can self-right from that position. SawBlaze is trying to get up over, but it doesn't matter because they're out of the arena and the fight's over. Pump Up has shocked the world once again. I don't think anyone expected this outcome. They really did stop SawBlaze from doing anything. They have slain the dragon. SawBlaze tried to get a few cuts in, but it was useless. Pump Up using that incredible 4-bar lifter to just flip over SawBlaze. SawBlaze took way too long to self-right, and Pump Up did not give them a chance to get back on their wheels. They immediately punched them right out of the arena, and in the process, punched their ticket to the semifinals. They are now just 2 fights away from the giant disc. In our next matchup, we have a battle between 2 of the best control bots in the entire competition. It's Inverse versus Gridlock. Not only is Gridlock a very good-looking robot, it's also a very competitive one. In the round of 32, they bullied Minotaur around the box before eventually getting them right out of the arena like nothing. And then eventually against Hydration, they simply got the flipper flipped over and the bot could not self-right. Their opponent is another control bot known as Inverse. This robot has a powerful lifter, and they use that lifter to take down Slick in the round 32 and then lift Blacksmith out of the arena in the round of 16. This bot has a lot to prove, but they may just be able to do it. Inverse is coming to this fight prepared as they have a new configuration specifically to take down Gridlock. It's a longer lifter, and hopefully it will give them the edge they need in this control battle. Which bot will come out on top and move on to the semifinals? Let's find out. Three, two, one. Let the bot battle begin. A battle of control bots. This should be interesting. Inverse immediately with the first attack as they get Gridlock on their side using that very long lifter. And Gridlock is having trouble self-righting. This is really bad right off the gate. Inverse just trying to do whatever they can. Gridlock cannot self-right. Will Gridlock get counted out? Oh, never mind. Inverse comes in for attack anyways. Maybe they should have left them. I don't know. But Inverse showing what they can do. Now Gridlock gets an attack as they get underneath Inverse, lifting them up and over. But Inverse treats that attack like nothing. Inverse coming in for a counterattack. Lots of attacks going on. And most of them being initiated by Inverse. Inverse really showing why they want to get into the semifinals so bad. Why they'd be a worthy contender for the giant disc. They are really just bullying Gridlock, which is not something we're used to seeing. Normally Gridlock is the one doing the bullying. And Inverse is all good flip there and just pushes Gridlock right into the screws. Gridlock in a lot of trouble. Oh, they're definitely in trouble now. And it seems like they are stuck in the screws, and the screws are not going to reverse. Gridlock getting counted out. And just like that, Gridlock's fantastic run ends here. Inverse goes to the next round. Poor Gridlock just got outmatched for the first time this entire season. Inverse was just a better control bot. They flipped him over, and Gridlock could not self-right fast enough to keep up. Inverse just keeping the attacks on them, not letting them breathe. Inverse, they did get attacked at once. They got flipped over, but they self-righted quickly, and that was the difference. Inverse could recover from the attacks. Gridlock could not, and Gridlock did not recover when they got stuck into screws for an automatic win, courtesy of Inverse. Up next, we have a fight I don't think anyone ever expected to see. We have the reigning champion, BiteForce, taking on the underdog, Very Violent. We all know BiteForce, and may just be the undisputed king of BattleBots at Home. Not only are they the Season 1 champion, but they have destroyed every bot in their way. They're on a 10-fight win streak. They've never lost. And honestly, I don't know if they can lose this time. That weapon's so powerful. Those wedgelets are so low to the ground, and they can just take down anything in their path. In the round of 32, they completely annihilated the Legends. And then in the round of 16, they destroyed Tough with little effort. It was incredible, and it was scary. In contrast, we have Very Violent, a robot that I don't think anyone expected to make it this far. Despite their very weird and very unique design, they have been nothing but successful. Not only did they go 3-0 during the regular season, but during the tournament, they knocked out Duck in the round 32, and then they got the upset of a lifetime as they KO'd the legendary Tombstone. Despite everything constantly being stacked against them, this bot just keeps finding new ways to win, and it's been nothing short of incredible. For this fight specifically, Very Violent has actually added forks as a way of counteracting the wedgelets on BiteForce. Will this plan be enough to finally defeat the champion? Let's find out. Three, two, one. Let the bot battle begin. Very Violent, trying to be careful. Oh, never mind. There goes the grabbing arm. Courtesy of BiteForce, they just rip it off like nothing. But Very Violent does not care. Very Violent using their weird way of fighting. They have those weird lifting arms. And they seem to have worked as one of the wedgelets on BiteForce is bent downwards and keeping its front wheels off the ground. They still have those back wheels, but it's going to be harder to hit Very Violent now. And already, that's massive points in the favor of Very Violent. Very Violent keeps finding weird ways to win. Could they beat the champion the same way? I don't know, but BiteForce is very handicapped right now. They can still hit them kind of, but that wedgelet is really hampering their movement, trying to push Very Violent around. Very Violent just doing its thing again. Those grabbing, lifting arms or whatever, very versatile. Very Violent can move in ways other bots can't. BiteForce just does not have an answer for it, trying to do their best. They did do damage by whipping off the lifting arm and ended up pushing them into the screws. That should help, but Very Violent easily able to get underneath them now that their wedgelet is keeping their wheels off the ground, their front ones anyways. They still have those back wheels, but their drive movement is nowhere near as good, and Very Violent just I don't even know how to describe it. They've lost a few more pieces, but they clearly don't care. Very Violent just does its thing, and they keep on going. Bite Force, this is the most hurt we've ever seen them in, and this could be a massive upset. Bite Force just trying to tango with Very Violent. Oh, Very Violent, they move them in a way so that the wedge sled is no longer bent. Bite Force is back to his normal self, and that could cost Very Violent the fight. They probably should have left it like that. Bite Force has a lot of ground to make up quick and fast to make up for those lost points, and they're doing it. They ripped off some of the forks on Very Violent. They ripped off some other small pieces. They need to catch up right now, as we're about halfway through this fight. Very Violent just trying to fight back right now. Bite Force keeping them in the corner. They don't want them to move too much. Bite Force is trying to deal with this very strange bot. Very Violent is not afraid of the champion. And oh, doing something amazing as they get one of their lifting arms stuck in between the weapon bracket. The two bots are stuck together. The weapon just in between Bite Force's spinner. The two bots just trying to do whatever, and the bots are stuck together. This is a dance of death. These two bots are doing everything they can to kill each other. Bite Force pushing Very Violent into the wall. It is just an incredible fight. Bite Force just not letting up. They refuse to give up. And I think this fight is pretty close so far. Bite Force is pushing into the sides of Very Violent. Oh, nearly out of the arena. Are they going to get him out? No, they don't. Very Violent gets out of that predicament. They just moving in every which way they possibly can to avoid any serious damage. Bite Force coming around to the sides. Bite Force definitely making up points now. I hope so. Very Violent just trying to get around. And they are just doing everything they can. Underneath the Pulverizer, another good attack by Very Violent. And Bite Force doesn't know what to do here. They've never met a bot this tough. And there's only 5 seconds left. Who knows who's gonna get the win here. This will be going to the judges. And this may be the closest fight we have ever seen. This may just be the single greatest fight in BattleBots at Home history. Bite Force starting the fight off right by ripping off the grabbing arm of Very Violent. But then Very Violent got its revenge as they bend one of the forks of Bite Force downwards, which really messed with their movement. Bite Force not giving up, however, despite the weird movements of Very Violent in those lifting arms. When they got back up, they started attacking Very Violent as much as possible, being as aggressive as possible, getting some control as well, and doing some more damage to make up for what happened in the earlier stages of the fight. Got him stuck on the screws at one point, but Very Violent is just such a tough robot. They don't look like they should be, but this bot simply does not die. And despite the attacks from Bite Force, they just couldn't put a dent in that armor. Very Violent, they did take a little bit of damage, but not too much. And they have just controlled Bite Force in ways we've never seen before. I literally do not know who won. I have no idea who will make it to the semifinals. We have a split decision. The winner is Bite Force. In our final fight of the quarterfinals, we have a clash of titans as the 5th-seeded Whiplash takes on the 4th-seeded Bronco. At this point, I don't think anyone can argue with the statement that Bronco is the best flipper we've ever seen. They've launched 4 of their last 5 opponents out of the arena, including Jekyll and Hyde and 87. They are undefeated throughout the season. They've only ever lost to Bite Force, and this is a bot capable of winning the entire championship if they play their cards right. Their opponent is the mighty Whiplash. They've been doing very well this season. In the round of 32, they got rid of Overlord with relative ease, and then they snapped Bad Idea in half in the round of 16. This spot has just been very consistent, and they've just been a dominant force throughout the entire season. There's only one spot left in the semifinals, and both of these titans of engineering want it. Who will claim that final spot? Let's head down to the box to find out. Three, 2, 1. Let the bot battle begin immediately. Whiplash loses a piece, but they clearly don't care. Bronco just trying to get that one crucial flip in that could end the fight, but they're getting stuck in the wall right now. Those sides are very long. Whiplash taking advantage. Whiplash far more maneuverable. It takes Bronco forever to turn because they're just too long, and Whiplash is showing them what for. Bronco flips a piece of Whiplash. It doesn't really help that much, I guess. Bronco just very slow out here. Whiplash, oh, they missed a flip. Whiplash, oh, huge, oh, they kind of missed there again. Bronco stuck near the screws, and they just all Whiplash within the first 30 seconds. Whiplash just showing why they have made it here so far. Bronco just haven't gotten a flip in. This is unlike anything we've ever seen. Normally, Bronco has their opponent out of the arena by now, but he just have not been able to get the flip they want. Whiplash is coming in for the kill. Bronco, oh, good flip there. We couldn't see it, but Bronco just froze Whiplash across the box. That was insane. And now they're doing it again. This is the Bronco we know and love. Bronco just trying to get a good flip there. Whiplash recovers very easily. Whiplash meeting head to head. They have that spinner and that lifter, and they're using both very effectively. Whiplash kind of doing some weird stuff, but it doesn't matter. And Bronco goes back to the same wall. I don't know why they're doing that, but things are just not going good for Bronco. They need to catch up on points right now, as we're almost halfway through the fight, and Bronco's only gotten about 1.5 flips. Bronco really needs to catch up right now. They need to get a good, huge lift by Whiplash. That was a good attack. Whiplash just not giving Bronco the chance to get those legendary flips in. Oh, except their amazing flip by Bronco. That's what we're talking about. Bronco needs to get more of those flips. Whiplash self-rights, and they don't really care. Unaffected by those flips, but Bronco needs to get more of them. And you just see the difference in maneuverability once again. Bronco, it takes them forever to turn. Whiplash can turn on a dime. Whiplash is able to drive circles around Bronco. The two robots having a little tango. That's some good dancing there. We're under a minute to go, and Bronco just really behind right now. They need to get a good flip in order to win this fight. Whiplash is using that lifter once again, and that spinner trying to attack the wheels of Bronco. Bronco just very disoriented. Are they even awake in this fight? Oh, yes, they are. Get another good flip on Whiplash. This is their chance. Getting next to Whiplash once again. Whiplash gets away, able to recover from those flips really fast. We got about 30 seconds left, and Whiplash is really on top. Bronco just trying to get in for the kill, get the flip they need. Oh, like that. And right now, Whiplash is near the wall. This could be all over. Bronco very close, trying to flip them out of the arena. They're so close to winning this fight. Another good flip, but they miss. And unfortunately, that was just about their last chance to win this fight. With only 10 seconds left, I don't know what else they can do here. Whiplash is just taking what Bronco can dish out and gave them better. Bronco, we've never seen anything like this. And just like that, this is going to the judges. This fight came down to driving, and Whiplash was simply better. Now, Bronco did get a few flips in, but nothing like what we're used to. Every time they did flip Whiplash, Whiplash was just unaffected by it. They quickly self-righted and then came back on the attack. Bronco just too long and too slow for their own good. Whiplash able to show them what happens when you're just not fast enough to deal with the attacks. And Whiplash, they kept recovering from any attacks from Bronco and dished out their own. Whiplash was just faster, stronger. Bronco did not know what hit him. And I think we know who wins this fight. And the winner by unanimous decision is Whiplash. We are now down to only 4 robots, which means it's time for our first semifinal fight. We have Pump Up going up against Inverse. Both these bots got incredible KOs in their opening fights, and both of these lifters have done so well so far, but only one of them can make it to our grand final and fight for the giant disc. Who will it be? Let's find out. Three, 2, 1. Let the bot battle begin. The two bots meet head-to-head. Pump Up gets a lift. And it's all over! It's all over! Pump Up has won this fight in less than 4 seconds. That's the fastest fight we've ever seen. And Pump Up will be moving on to our grand final. I don't know what to say. This replay is literally the entire fight. Pump Up just did whatever they needed to do. They got one lift in, punched them right out of the arena, and Pump Up will be going to our grand final with the quickest fight we've ever seen at just about 4 to 5 seconds. Pump Up just an absolute beast. It is now time for our second semifinal fight. It's Bite Force going up against Whiplash in order to determine who will face off against Pump Up in the grand final match. Bite Force is our reigning champion, and they just came off of a very close win against Very Violent. It didn't go perfectly, but in the end, they continued their long undefeated streak, and this bot knows how to win fights. They'll be facing off against Whiplash, another very good robot who just came off of a good win against Bronco in another 3-minute brawl. Both these bots are the absolute top of their class, but only one can make it to the grand final and get one step closer to winning the giant disc. Who will it be? Let's find out. Three, 2, 1. Let the bot battle begin. Two bots very cautious right out of the gate. They know that one move could be the end of them. Whiplash tears off one of the wedges with the Bite Force and lifts them up into the wall, flipping them over. It is a great start by Whiplash. Bite Force needs to recover right now, but Whiplash not giving them a chance as they get underneath. Bite Force, once again, they're grinding the top, or I guess bottom of Bite Force. Speaking of top, the top panel is bent inwards, and the wheels of Bite Force are not touching the ground, and I don't believe it. Bite Force might be down for the count. And Whiplash, they has just done the impossible. Whiplash will be the first bot to ever defeat Bite Force, and in the process they have punched their ticket to the grand final match against Pump Up. What an incredible stuff by Whiplash. And just like that, the champion is dead. I never thought I'd see the day. I never thought I'd see the day a bot finally took down Bite Force. They've been unstoppable up to this point, but Whiplash showed that it was only a matter of time until someone better came along. Whiplash did not give them a chance to do anything. They pushed them into the wall, they flipped them over, they damaged their top panel and stopped their wheels from touching the ground. At that point, Bite Force was upside down, they were stranded, and just like that, we are guaranteed to have a new champion. Now, before we get into our final fight, which will determine first and second place, it's time to see who will get third place. It's Inverse taking on Bite Force. Now, these bots have a lot of history with each other. These two bots have met each other 3 other times. Every single time Bite Force has beaten Inverse. They first met in Season 1 in the round of 24, in which Bite Force quickly threw Inverse out of the arena with little effort. Then, after Inverse got a wild card, they met again in the round of 16, and once again, Bite Force defeated them very easily, getting them stuck on the screws for the win, and they then went on to win the entire season. Then, as for this season, they met in the main event, and Bite Force won against Inverse yet again, just tore them to pieces, and Inverse has just gotten stopped by Bite Force every single time. They are their ultimate enemy, and Inverse just wants one chance at revenge. These two have one of the most legendary rivalries in robot fighting history, but only one of them can win this fight and claim third place. Who will it be? Let's find out. Three, 2, 1. Let the third place playoff begin. The giant disc is not at stake here. These bots cannot win the competition, but they want to at least get third place to show that they're still a top tier bot. And Bite Force showing what they can do, the former champion, doing what they can. These bots have met many times before. Inverse getting a flip on the Bite Force. Bite Force still can drive inverted, but not as well. Inverse gets another good lift. They take off the top panel of Bite Force, but Bite Force gets revenge by shoving Inverse into the sidewall, getting hit by the polarizer, showing the control they're known for. Inverse knows Bite Force is a tough bot. They've faced them 3 other times, and 3 other times they've been defeated. But now Inverse getting the upper hand as they flip over Bite Force once again. Inverse using that lifter to good effect, and they get Bite Force out of the arena. And I don't believe it, but finally, Inverse has done it. Inverse has defeated their arch nemesis Bite Force, and because of that, they will claim third place. This may just be the greatest moment of Inverse's career. Not only have they finally defeated their rival in Bite Force, but in doing so, they have claimed third place at BattleBots At Home 2022. This amazing lifter bot, they've lost to Bite Force 3 other times, but they did not give up. They got the lifts they needed until eventually they got the king out of the arena. Inverse just proving itself to be a very deadly bot. They may not be a champion this year, but they may be a champion next year. Inverse gets third, while Bite Force will have to settle for 4th place. Alright everybody, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. It's time for our grand final matchup between Pump Up and Whiplash in the fight for the giant disc. Both of these amazing bots have worked so hard to get to this point, so it only seems fair to take a look back to see how they got this far. In Whiplash's debut fight, they defeated Caution by ripping away their wheels and tearing out their batteries, and it was an amazing sign of things to come. Whiplash then went on to disarm Sword and Shield and then flip over Spinna in their next 2 fights, getting them a 3-0 record, and they earned the 5th seed. Once they got into the tournament, Whiplash quickly made short work of Overlord in the round 32 and then Bad ID in the round of 16. Whiplash then faced off against Bronco in the quarterfinals, and after an amazing fight, Whiplash was able to take down the legendary Flipper and move on to the semifinals. And of course, in the semifinals, Whiplash became the first ever bot to defeat Bite Force and punch their ticket to the grand final fight, where they are now. As for Pump Up, they started the season off right with an amazing win over Minotaur, in which they got the Brazilian Bull stuck on their back for the win. Unfortunately, in their next match against Blacksmith, things didn't go too well. They got destroyed, but they bounced back and got an amazing win against Magnitude in order to end the season at 2-1. Despite having a low seeding of 18, Pump Up just got upset after upset. First, they got Grappler out of the arena, and then they took down the number 2 seed Mr. Slice in an amazing back and forth fight. In the round of 8, they managed to punch SawBlaze right out of the arena, and then he did the exact same thing, the inverse in the semifinals, in one of the fastest fights we've ever seen. But now it's time for these two titans to face off against each other. Whiplash versus Pump Up. Pump Up versus Whiplash, the two absolute best bots we have left. We started with 56, now it's down to just these two. They go battle it out until only one bot is left standing. Who will win it all? Who will become a champion? And who will gain the BattleBots at Home 2022 Giant Disc, the ultimate prize, the ultimate trophy? Who will achieve greatness? Let's find out, and for the final time, let's head down to the box. Three, two, one. Let the championship match begin. This is for all the marbles. This is for the Giant Disc. And right now, Pump Up has the upper hand, pushing Whiplash into the wall. They need to avoid the walls. Pump Up has pushed out 2 opponents so far in quick succession. Whiplash attacking back. Whiplash getting to the sides of Pump Up. They want to stay away from the wall so they don't get thrown out of the arena. But it doesn't matter because Pump Up pushing them into the screws. That's really good. Pump Up is really good at controlling their opponents. They're right behind Whiplash. Right now, Whiplash is not doing so good. Whiplash trying to get a counterattack, but Pump Up is just too controlled. They push him into the walls once again. That lifter is just so fantastic. Whiplash coming around, using that disc to do a tiny bit of damage. Not too much, but it's something. Oh, good attack by Whiplash. They catch the edge of the 4-bar lifter, Pump Up, but Pump Up comes back around, flips him over, and they are doing everything they can to punch him out of the arena. They're really good at doing that. They can win this fight at any second, or maybe not, as the wedge of Pump Up has come off, and now it's going to be harder for them to get underneath Whiplash. Whiplash really has the advantage now. They will always win the ground game from this point onwards. Pump Up trying to self-right, but it's just really bad. Oh, Whiplash coming in, doing some more damage. Pump Up a little bit stuck for now. Oh, good lift by Whiplash. Pump Up on the edge of the wall, almost out of the arena, but they get out of there just in time. But Pump Up really has to battle back here. Whiplash, oh, another suplex right behind them. Whiplash coming in for the kill here. Pump Up trying to self-right, but Whiplash not giving them a chance to fight back right now. And the tides have turned about halfway through this fight. However, Pump Up is not going to give up. They've won fights they should have lost before. They are a very good underdog. They keep coming back just like that. Oh, almost got him out of the arena then and there. Whiplash on the edge of the wall. Whiplash coming back. And this is the thing about Pump Up. You can never count them out. They can always come back and get an unexpected win. But Whiplash getting pushed to the wall once again. It is an amazing grand final fight. Both of these bots want that Giant Disc so badly. Oh, Whiplash into the pulverizer. Pump Up trying to get some control points to make up. Oh, more damage done to Pump Up. Half the entire body is gone. And things are really going for bad to work. Oh, a backhand from Whiplash does more damage to Pump Up. And Pump Up is just falling apart piece by piece. Pump Up not doing so good. Are they still okay? You see the mechanism for the flipper lifter messed up. And Pump Up might be down for the count. Oh, but Whiplash doesn't care. They want to make sure they win this Giant Disc. Pump Up is just barely moving. They've taken beatings like this before. But this might be on a different level. Whiplash just getting the kill here. Whiplash just tossing up Pump Up as much as they can. Pump Up just in a lot of pain right now. They need to get back. Oh, suplex. And the entire lifter's gone. They can't self-right. And I'm sorry to say this, but despite their best efforts, I don't think Pump Up's winning the Giant Disc this year. Whiplash has battled back. Oh, and that's it. Like, there's nothing left to Pump Up. Whiplash has done the impossible. They've won 8 fights in a row. And as the countdown ends, it's pretty clear that they will be our BattleBots at Home 2022 Grand Champion. Look around, and not only will you see the scattered remains of what was once Pump Up, but you'll see our brand new champion, the one, the only, Whiplash. Whiplash, just incredible. Now, Pump Up was actually doing a lot better at first. They almost got Whiplash out of the arena so many times, and that lifter is so dangerous. Whiplash didn't know what to do in the first half of the fight, but Whiplash, they adapted and they did not run away scared. They came back, they started to do damage, and that's the key difference here. Pump Up's lifter was great, but it just couldn't do the damage to kill Whiplash instantly. Whiplash also had a lifter, but he also had that vertical spinner, and that combo is why they've won so many fights. As you see here, Pump Up gets a good lift on the Whiplash, but eventually their front wedge breaks off, which makes it harder for them to get underneath Whiplash, and then Whiplash just went to work after that. Whiplash, they took the good hits well, but they just came back and hit so much harder. Whiplash is so fast. They got him near the screws. They got him upside down several times. And Whiplash just beat Pump Up at their own game. Pump Up didn't have an answer for them. They did do everything they could to fight back. But Whiplash is so versatile, and that's why they are our champion. They won 8 fights in a row. They never lost this season. They've beaten champions, they've beaten top-tier bots, and they've beaten Pump Up in order to earn the giant disc and title of BattleBots at Home 2022 champion. All hail the mighty Whiplash. Whiplash is now the holder of the giant disc. It's been an incredible episode, and for the final time, let's have a recap. Pump Up defeated the dragon of SawBlaze. Gridlock got screwed against Inverse. Bite Force won a very violent throwdown against Very Violent. Bronco got whipped by Whiplash. Pump Up threw Inverse out of the arena in less than 4 seconds. Whiplash finally defeated the king in Bite Force. Inverse also got its revenge against its rival Bite Force. And in our championship match, Whiplash proved that he was the best bot in the competition as it took down Pump Up in order to win the giant disc and become the BattleBots at Home 2022 champion. And just like that, the most ambitious fan-made robot fighting show comes to a close. We really do appreciate the support we've been given, and just like that, the show's over for now, but we hope to see you next time. Thanks for everything.